listening to Around Comics. 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 You're listening to Around Comics.
Cryptocurrency. Awesome. Don't need to see anything more about cryptocurrency.
All right, let's do this thing. We're using up all of gold.
3, 2, 1.
From hold on a second.
Hey, Marta. That was beautiful. I heard that. Your mics are really good. This is fascinating.
Glad that got in there.
Yeah.
All right. Count me down.
No, that you got your countdown, buddy. That's it.
Oh, okay, gotcha. From Chicago. God damn it. From Chicago, this is Around Comics, the comic culture podcast, where we talk about everything in and around the world of comics and comics culture. I'm Christopher Niesman, and I am joined, as always, by Mr. Brian Salazar.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, YouTube, how you doing?
Hey, YouTube.
Hey, YouTube. It's the influencers out there. That's what's like, hey, YouTube, what's up?
Oh, gotcha.
I was
okay,
like,
Boomer.
what's happening?
Yeah, I had no idea.
Hey, what's up to all my friends on TikTok? Hey guys. Individually shout out each network that we
I had like 300,000 Musically followers, but when I went to TikTok, I just lost them all. I don't know what happened.
they're all gone now.
They're all gone.
And we're also joined by Mr. Tom Caters. Tom,
Hi.
Hi.
I want to shout out everyone, all my Vine peeps.
Fine.
Wherever you're at now.
I just want to say R.I.P. to Black Mamba. Right off the top, I want to get that out of the way.
There we go. It's
Brown.
red.
Yeah, how about that?
That was kind of crazy.
Might join my muted list on Twitter.
Kobe might.
Oh, Bryant. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
no
Kobe.
value judgment. Just my own sanity of seeing something 1,000 times.
Yeah.
And being like,
Just
okay.
like bizarre helicopter accident in L.A., right?
Yeah, it was. I guess he was going to his daughter's basketball game, and it was him and his daughter, and then some other parents and kids. Which, think about that, like, you know.
Let's go ride in Kobe's helicopter.
Yeah, it's like, oh, how awesome we get to take, Kobe's helicopter.
And now you're dead.
Yeah.
Now you're dead.
Fucking
now you're
tragic.
Dead.
That's
Yeah. That his daughter died. That hurt. That hit more than that, because you never like to hear that about kids. So anyway, we're not here to talk about Kobe Bryant or basketball.
Strong.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we're bringing the room down. We are here to talk about comics and comics culture.
We should start every week with like a death roll call.
just kick things
like,
off. Who died?
Start the death pool.
Here's who's died since the last time we recorded.
Oh yeah.
If we're gonna do this, let's see. Kobe.
Yeah.
Monty Python. That's not his name, but
no.
I can't think of his name.
All of Monty Python, even though they're definitely dwindling numbers these days. So
that's true.
Real quickly, we're going to talk about Little Bird, I think, in our next episode. So give everyone a little bit of time to finish reading that, including Comet Val. I liked it. I'm looking forward to talking with you guys about it. It's different. It's a different book.
Oh no!
What? It's a little.
Different.
It's we don't like.
Yeah,
that.
I mean,
we're Americans.
Yeah. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it next episode.
Is it okay?
Is it like
David
Lynch different or
no? It's Real quick, the writers from Canada, I believe.
Okay, too much, and no.
But it reads very much like a European comic. It reminds me, in your abundant spare time, if you want to read some Alejandro Jodorowsky comics, I felt some similarities to him. So
that's the only European comic artist you know, isn't it?
No, me? You know me? I like my comics American.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I know. Tom
Plain, like just bread and butter.
Meat potatoes.
Potatoes.
What kind of meat and potatoes comics have you been reading besides not Little Bird?
Ooh, me?
Yeah.
Just old shit.
Okay.
I've just been slowly working my way through the Fourth World omnibus that I got as a gift that is not convenient for reading in any place other than like my couch.
Is it one of those books that if you drop it, it'll kill you? Kind of.
Yeah, it's just not. It's like it sort of defeats the purpose of books in that it's like I can't lay down and read it because if I fall asleep, it will like fall directly on my face and probably break my nose. Yeah. And because I'm old and tired all the time, I do just anytime I lie down, I'm only like 30 seconds away from falling asleep. at like any given time, I have to sit upright, or it's just like can be the greatest book, the greatest movie. If I'm lying down, I'm going to fall asleep. That's just what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I understand. It doesn't get any easier the older you get. Yeah. I love the look and the idea of the omnibus editions, but I really miss when Marvel was doing the oversized hardcovers, which are the same size as the omnibus, the same page size, but they were broken down. It's like they did what the Ultimates in 2 volumes, and then they re-released it as an omnibus. I like the oversized hardcovers where an actual like I can sit on the couch and read this and not look like a moron. The
Fourth World omnibus really is comical in its girth. It's just like, come on. Like,
well, they came out with those in like 4 volumes. Whenever they did the Jack Kirby's Fourth World, I got all, and some of those are expensive on the secondary market now.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
So I was lucky that I got all 4 of them, and they're nice because they actually the paper is more like vintage comic book paper of the era, that kind of that toothy feel.
You like toothiness.
I like toothy.
You're a tooth man.
Is your is the omnibus? Is it more the slick glossy paper?
It's slicker, glossier paper.
Yes, this is captivating fucking conversation.
Yeah, it is paper talk. Hey guys, welcome to Around Paper. Death, and then paper.
My only
paper.
My problem.
Graphic novel coming out with.
I know that Sal has the same problem sometimes with some of the Kirby penned stuff, the written stuff. Is that it's a little bit of a slog to get through? Do you mind it?
It's perfect for someone who's about to fall asleep all the time.
Perfect. Yeah.
You're right.
Because it doesn't matter. You can pick it right back up, and it's just like someone screaming or just like declaring like the universe is coming to an end. It's like, oh, okay, cool, yeah. I know what's going on. You don't have to ruin about breaking up the flow of conversation because everyone's pretty much like expositioning.
Kirby was he was a terrifically talented artist and amazingly creative mind, but the stuff that he did on his own without some writing help was not that exciting, I don't think. I don't know. The Eternals is coming out, and I keep wanting to be excited about that in some way, but I've never been excited about the Eternals in any fashion whatsoever. So I don't know. I don't see. I don't see
written in really nice little chunks. So like you can just read like the first 2 parts of something. Like the lack of flow is good for a tired man.
This is how you judge all your comics now.
It's like, can I follow what's happening? So yeah, I mean, they're incredibly inventive. So there's always like cool there are always awesome things about to happen. Like you might never see it again in the story, but it'll be like, oh, here's like a vampire world that's inside a building. It's like just like I guess that's bad. Yeah, I'll throw that in there.
He was maybe too creative. That was the problem. He needed someone to sort of like
some grounding.
Just pull him back a little bit because otherwise it's just off in so many
wait,
directions.
What are you doing? Yeah. Okay, we're gonna take Jimmy Olsen. We're gonna team him up with a group of children from the 1950s.
Yeah, 50s.
They're gonna have a supercar, and the car can go anywhere, right? But where it's really gonna go is there's a weird other dimension of hippies, where it's like, okay, I'm following.
Superpowered hippies.
Yeah, I like where we're going.
I love it.
Great. I love it. Print it.
Jack, it's terrific, but let's pull it back a little. It's a little out there.
On the staying in kind of the same ballpark, definitely Kirby. I've decided that I kind of like reading reinterpretations of Kirby's work more than Kirby's work sometimes. And have you guys checked out the Tom Scioli's Fantastic Four Grand Design?
Oh, I have not. It is on my list to get to though.
If you like the Pisker stuff like Hip Hop Family Tree
yes.
or the X-Men Grand Design, you will love this. And it's
cool.
and there's no one better suited to do a brief history of a Kirby work than Scioli. I mean, we all know that he's obviously heavily influenced by Kirby, and it is. God, what's the grid pattern on this? What's a 2, 4, 5, 1, 2? It's 10 grid panels on per page. So I mean, it's fucking crammed in there. It's a lot. It's a lot of information.
It's a lot.
Very Kirby.
It's a
very Kirby.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it's a lot of information.
He's not about the Kirby wasn't spacing things out for the trade. He was going to jam as many things to this story as possible. Whether it's like, wait, what's happening? Like, yes, this is happening.
It's all happening. Everything is happening.
I mean,
it's all happening.
Some of these pages have 25 panels on them.
That's just silly.
When you get to the edge of the universe, there's a wall made out of gods, okay? Just go with it.
I'll figure it out later.
Yeah. It just looks cool, okay? There's a bunch of, it does. It does look cool.
He's right. What was in those cigars he was chomping on? But
yeah. He's right. It looks cool. Yeah.
The source wall makes complete sense. I mean, what's funny about is that we just kind of take a lot of it for granted. I mean, we do take a lot of his creativity for granted, just because. I mean, it's like it's kind of the Bible for certainly the Marvel universe. You look back at how many Kirby creations are just kind of there, and you don't even realize it. It's the how many characters do you think he actually created over his career? It's got to be in the thousands.
I mean, if you were to count up every single character that, like Tom said, because he may have, put 40 characters in one page and you never see him again, but they were there. It's
like, here's that guy. We'll get to him later.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for a somewhat concise history of, like, I would say Fantastic Four, like 1 to 100 ish, it's fun. It's also good for bedtime, Tom.
Oh, good. I enjoy it.
It's a good bedtime reader.
Yeah. Hey, you either gotta pack as much in there, because you only got me for about 2 minutes. So you gotta make sure that page I read is jam packed full of action.
Or forget it.
You will not be let down by these. How about you, Sal? What you been reading?
Oh, not much, to be honest. I this last couple of weeks I haven't. There's two issues. One, I just haven't had that much time. But it seems like every time I pick up a book, I am not that interested in it, and it's getting harder and harder for me to find things that sort of captivate me and draw my interest and keep me reading for more than a page or two. I don't know. There's not a whole lot out there right now that I'm all that excited about. I keep going back to the Immortal Hulk. That's probably my favorite book that's going on right now.
Cool.
Just because it's so weird and out there but yeah, I'm trying to think of what else. I hadn't honestly. I've been watching a lot of television lately and movies. I've been watching a lot of movies.
I came out of the Star Wars, the Rise of Skywalker, which was okay. I think we talked about it a little bit. It was okay. I didn't hate it or do backflips in love with it. But then watched The Mandalorian, which loved The Mandalorian. Thought it was a lot of fun. And the whole have you guys watched it yet?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So I didn't know really anything about the Darksaber, which is the kind of the there's the Darksaber is an important part of the end of that series, and so just watched a little research on it and decided to go back and watch Rebels. Have you guys watched Star Wars Rebels?
I've watched a little bit. I'm kind of saving it for my son is getting close to like wanting to watch that stuff, so I'm kind of holding out until
it can get a little dark. I'm shocked.
Well, hey,
I mean,
so can life, That's what I've taught my son. Things get dark.
I had watched a few episodes here and there when it was on like Disney XD or whatever it was. I was like, oh yeah, this seems kind of cool, but I didn't care one way or the other at the time. And then I started getting in and watching the series in its entirety. It's really smart. It is a really smart and well done series. There's a ton of character development, and they get kind of dark. I mean, people die. It is Star Wars. They're blowing up ships and there's death and there's some kind of dark storylines that go on there. But it's really, especially if you want to learn about Mandalore and the Mandalorians, that becomes a really big part of the story. But I'm loving watching Star Wars Rebels. So I'm right there with you, Sal. I've been probably watching more TV than I don't watch that much TV, but I've been watching that and a few other things.
I got obsessed with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the latest Quentin Tarantino film. And I saw it twice in the theater. I've seen it like twice since that at home. Mm-hmm. And then I got on like I wanted to go back and start reading Helter Skelter again. So that's what I've been sort of engrossed in.
Going down a Charles Manson rabbit hole, huh?
Well, just that. I mean, I'm trying not to. Like, I don't really want to
focus on him.
Yeah, not so much necessarily. I was a little fascinated with some of the timeline in the movie, and then trying to think, and I couldn't remember a lot of that stuff because I had read it before, but I couldn't. It was a long time ago. I was probably in my 20s. And so I decided to read it again. So I've been, I've just been going through that, and I forgot how just fucking brutal and outlandish that whole thing was. I mean, obviously, we all know, but I think when you get into kind of the details of it, it's like Jesus. I kind of forgot how nuts it was, but trying to think like, I guess what fascinated me about it watching the film was the idea. And I was listening to an interview with Quentin Tarantino, and one of the interviewers, was a podcast he was on, and one of them asked him, in his sort of like alternate reality universe where, the Sharon Tate murders don't happen, how do you think that changes things? And he gave a, very interesting...
That's an interesting question, yeah.
Interesting question. It was a great question. And he gave an interesting answer. He obviously had thought about it a bit, but one of the things he kind of brought up was just like it was the end of the the hippie movement, really. I mean, it just kind of like shut the door on that and that whole sort of thing, and that was just sort of an interesting how it changed Los Angeles and
that's interesting.
Well, one of the things he talked about was like before that happened, it was really this. you would leave your doors open because he grew up in LA. You would leave your doors open. You would pick up hitchhikers. You didn't think twice about letting your kids run around, and then that happened and changed everything. People were terrified,
And they weren't harmless hippies anymore. They were
no, yeah,
potential murderers.
Yeah. There's an interesting there's another short documentary on YouTube that I watched about it was called like it was something about like the city, LA, the city during the Manson, and so they kind of tried to look at it like what was going on in the city at that time.
Yeah.
And it was the same sort of thing. One of the women they talked to was a kind of famous what do you call it? Not a roadie.
Groupie?
Yeah, groupie. She was kind of a famous groupie, sorry. And she was talking about that, how it just like you couldn't dress like that anymore. You couldn't, people just looked at you differently after that because now they associated anyone that looked like that. And it's like,
sure.
Well, he wasn't really a hippie, like they weren't, hippies necessarily, but it just really changed that whole thing. So that's where my head's been for the last couple of weeks.
It's interesting you say that because I love the movie, and thinking back on it, how much of a character L.A. is in. I mean, it's really it's a love letter to late '60s Hollywood, and the city itself is almost a character in the movie, which I loved it. You were right. You told me to make sure to watch it, and I still think the dog is the hero. But that's just me.
Of course. No, I love. I think it's his. I mean, I can't argue against like it being his best movie, but I think it shows like the highest level of quality from him, if that makes sense. Like his craft in this movie is as good as anything that he's ever done.
Yeah, I think when it's all done with him, I think that people will still always go back to Pulp Fiction just because it was such an important movie at the time and really established him as a giant director.
Yeah, agreed.
I agree. I think this is a better movie.
Right. Exactly. I think it's a better, more well created film. But Pulp Fiction was it was a spectacle,
Yeah.
So yeah, but whatever. But it's awesome. I love Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I think it's phenomenal. I think it's a shame that I think Leonardo DiCaprio should win an Academy Award for it, but he won't because Joaquin Phoenix is going to win. But I think he's fantastic in it.
If you want to win an Oscar, play the Joker, baby.
Apparently.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I still haven't seen it, man. I still haven't seen it.
I've seen it. I like the Joker a lot. I know there's obviously a lot of debate back and forth about it, but I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was fine. I guess I do think it's a little like I don't know. There's like I think Joaquin Phoenix does a good job in it, but I also kind of feel like there's times where like there's just like a lot of acting happening, like just like the most acting possible. I don't know, like it just feels like
I'm gonna act the shit out of this.
I'm just gonna act this out, like just fine. It's fun. I think it's like I just find the entire conversation about that movie just like really just interesting, just culturally. Because I just feel like before it came out, people had like all kinds of thoughts about it, of like to a degree that like I don't know if the movie's really that like, like
nuanced
to like the conversation. Like it's not like a movie full of like tons of like subtext or like what's this movie trying to say. Like it's very like clear.
Well, I find it interesting.
It's kind of like the Joker.
It's like
sometimes it's just what it is.
Yeah, and it's sort of like all this conversation, and it's like it's strange because it's just it's a lot of talking around it, and instead of like, you know.
Yeah, I would agree. It is fascinating. I found it fascinating, like people's opinions of it, where like they're, you know, it's like, oh, it's about this or it's about that, or you know, a lot of, you know, like it's about white rage and all sorts of different political things people put on it, and I'm just like, no, it's a fucked up person like going over the edge. It's not really that, you know, deep. I mean, I think it's good. I enjoyed it. I think it's a really good performance by him, but it's like people, you know, talking so much about like what it is about, and I was just like, I don't think, I mean, I don't see so much political sort of subtext in it that people seem to find.
I don't think there's like a lot of. I think it's unfair to say that there's no there, but it's also like not that deep, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like, I guess like whatever you want to pour into it is like what you think it is, but like I didn't find it to be like, I didn't walk out of there like, whoa, that's thought provoking, you know, like that really like challenged some thought I had, or like made me think about things differently. Not that like every movie has to do that, but I feel like people talk about it like it is one of those movies, and I'm just like, I don't see it. Like I don't know.
Well, I think it's because it almost is such an homage to those movies, you know, Scorsese films.
Oh yeah,
in particular.
Yes.
That, you know, that I think that's where people are kind of pulling it from. It's like it's. Yeah. I mean, I think there is some subtext to it. I think there is something you can pull from it to some degree, but I don't know. Yeah, people seem to be like, well, like everything, you're just using it for or against some other argument. You know, it's like it's just.
Yeah, it was close to joining the muted list.
Almost made the list.
Almost made it. Then it died down. Where I was like, God damn it! I cannot take another person talking about the Joker on Twitter.
My biggest thing with the Joker, I wish, and it only happened a couple of times, but I wish they never mentioned Gotham City. Like there was a couple of times in the movie where they mentioned it, and I was like, you didn't ever need to put that in there. And when they did, it was like, it kind of.
It's like, what?
Yeah, it was weird then. Like this doesn't.
It's just like, you know, let it be wherever it is. It does. Yeah, it's not that I've seen it, but I know what you mean.
Yeah, but nice. I don't know. Yeah, it's. I mean, I think his performance was pretty good. At least it was remarkable. You know what I mean? Like,
it's
not a lot.
It'll be funny when two people win Oscars for playing the Joker, and there'll be an article like, when are people going to take comic book movies seriously? It's, Jesus Christ, guys! I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah, pretty serious.
They are all the movies, and they're also now winning awards.
All the TV shows, and
yeah, we won.
The only thing they're not super successful in is comic books.
Yeah, it's the only weak area.
Yeah, well, you know, it's still the lab. One thing, Sal, one thing that might snap you out of it a little bit. I don't know if you want to be snapped out.
Sure, always.
Your groove again, Sal.
Get Stella's groove back. Two things that I've just been having fun reading over the last, 4 or 5 months.
No.
Have you been checking out any of the DC 100-page giants?
No, you mentioned those to me the last time I think we talked, and I have not looked at any of those. I have a hard time with.
Mm-hmm. You have a hard time with what?
Like anthology books.
Oh, well, that's okay. So I'm going down the wrong path because I was going to say it reads kind of like an anthology, so you can just jump in, read a.
That's not going to get his group.
Yeah,
I don't want an anthology. I want something meaty that I can dig into. That's my problem is that I can't find anything like with any guts to it. You know, there's not much.
Where's the guts?
Where's the guts, people?
The second thing I was going to suggest. are some of the DC Black Label. The one that I'm reading right now that I really like is Wonder Woman: Dead Earth.
You
I don't know
would. No.
No, it's you know me, I'm a fool for the post-apocalyptic stories. This is it's a story about the nuts and bolts of it are like Bruce Wayne may have put Diana in a cryogenic chamber, and she is awoken like decades after the apocalypse, and so it's kind of like Mad Max meets Wonder Woman, and so she has to be the protector of this group of people.
Demolition Man. Demolition Wonder Woman.
Yeah, it's written and drawn by one person. Daniel Warren Johnson does story and art, and Mike Spicer's coloring's great, and good old Russ Wooten on the lettering. It's a fun little read. And they're not. I mean, they're the prestige format, so they're kind of oversized. It's like $7 for, I guess, what would be a little bit more than a standard comic. So they're expensive, but I did like that one.
I was trying to get
That's
into
the end of the world.
Oh,
right there. That's the post-apocalyptic.
I was trying to get into Joe Hill's line of horror stuff that's under the Black Label.
Asked.
I liked his Basket Full of Heads, the first issue of that. I thought was pretty interesting. And then
Is that the one about the stand-up? No,
that's Dying is Easy.
Okay.
Yeah, which I didn't care for that one so much.
Okay.
The first issue of it, but Basket Full of Heads is pretty good. He has such outlandish sort of. He has that quality that his father has shown in some stuff, not everything that he does, but there's occasionally that like where something just comes completely out of left field. You know, like you're following along reading the story, and then all of a sudden it's just like, what the fuck? Like that makes no sense, but somehow he makes it work. And that's
okay.
Like Joe Hill has that same kind of thing where like he's able to just throw something completely wacky into a story, and you're just like, wait a minute, what? And then somehow he makes it work pretty well, and it's interesting when he does it. But Basketball of Heads is definitely kind of one of those weird. It kind of reminded me a little bit of a John Carpenter movie.
Okay.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah, like
did you have a soundtrack in your head?
yes,
John Carpenter, like
very simple keyboard soundtrack.
eerie.
Yeah, very eerie.
Very 80s.
Yeah, 2 chords.
Synthesizers.
Yeah. No, it did. It had. I don't know. I'm not sure how to explain that exactly. I don't know why it made me feel like some of John Carpenter stuff, but it definitely gave me that vibe for some reason. So, yeah, Basket Full of Heads is pretty good.
Cool. I've been wanting to. Now, what publisher is that? Is that
that's
IDW?
Black Label? No, that's DC.
Okay.
That's
it's DC. Okay.
He's like curating a line of horror books under. And he does this interesting thing in it too, where it's like an old school thing, because I think there's 3 or 4 titles in his line.
Okay.
And there's the main story, and then there's a backup story, and the backup story it's called Sea Dogs, and it's sort of this pirate story, horror story thing. And
I miss the backup.
Well,
I'm glad someone's doing backup.
There's that backup in there.
He's got the backup in there, but it's the chapters run in the different books, so you have to buy all the books.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So it's his line is.
So it's across all the books.
It's across
so it's not,
all the books. Yeah.
Oh, that's sneaky.
Yeah, it's Hill House Comics. That's
you.
his line of horror books from DC is Hill House, and so yeah, you have to buy all of them to read the backup story of Sea Dogs.
Okay. Yeah, until the super deluxe edition comes out and has
sure.
So yeah, what were some of your favorite backups whenever you were growing up? Kind of when backups were kind of in a lot of comics.
I'll be honest, I kind of hated backups.
What?
I didn't because I always felt like It was always
Like it was reading an
shitty artist.
anthology.
It was robbing you.
Yeah, it was
your
just filler
main story.
bullshit, and it was usually someone I'd never heard of, as the writer or artist. And I don't know. I'm trying to think of any that I enjoyed, and I don't know that.
Manhunter.
Yeah, that was okay. That was. I don't know. I was not a backup.
That shitty artist Walter Simonson.
Well, no, of course not.
Was that Archie Goodwin that wrote that?
I don't know. I don't remember, man.
I have it right here. Yeah, it's Archie Goodwin. And it's still beautiful as I look at it right now. I love that series. I love the idea of that character. I remember drawing the costume a lot. Right. And he had Chinese throwing stars. I mean, come on.
Yeah, why did an alien from Mars?
Why not?
No.
Give him Chinese. If the alien wants the Chinese throwing stars. Wait, is it Chinese throwing stars?
No, not Martian Manhunter. Manhunter, people.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, right, Manhunter, before Martian.
Are we sure the term Chinese throwing stars is a real term, or did we just...
Do we make up... No, Chinese throwing stars, absolutely. I don't know why they were Chinese.
Yeah, I'm just looking
Chinese
at it.
throwing
I'm just looking at a shuriken.
Shurikens,
Well, that's
yeah.
Japanese. Okay, I'm sorry.
Shurikens were
I was just making
ninja
sure that we didn't
stars.
just accidentally make up like a ridiculous term.
I think you had Chinese ones, and then the shuriken was the ninja throwing stars.
That was the Japanese ones. So,
Yeah, because ninjas are Japanese.
yeah, Moon Knight.
Sorry,
Moon
guys, I
Knight
don't know.
started out as a backup, right?
I think you're right. Yeah, I think it did.
Yeah, and that was but yeah, I totally know what you're talking about. There were a lot of backups that were hot garbage, but there's been some that was kind of a way to test drive new characters for a while, see if they fit. So
Yeah.
that's because
Wasn't Firestorm Flash backup?
Yes.
Right?
okay.
I was going to say, Flash had a bunch of backups.
Yeah.
They had Green Lantern was a backup for a while in it, when he was a toy salesman, I think.
Or an insurance
The
salesman.
good old days.
Those good old days. They're like, I don't know. What do we do with them? I don't know.
We sell insurance.
Test pilot to toy salesman.
Haunted Tank. That was my favorite backup, I think.
There's Dr. Fate was a good backup by Marty Pascoe.
Oh, yeah.
Giffen. That was like interesting. It was weird looking, so it was kind of like, what is this? As opposed to like kind of like a dull. I was never a huge Firestorm fan.
Oh, I know what my favorite backup was. It was Kull the Conqueror, Krull from in the Conan magazine.
Oh, okay.
That was probably my favorite backup ever.
Nice.
Yeah,
I remember those.
I liked Conan.
As someone who has not read that, it seems odd to me to just follow up a
One barbarian with another one.
with a conqueror.
With a conqueror.
Oh,
Kull the
Barbarian.
Conqueror.
Why did you like it more than Conan?
Gosh, I'm trying to. This was a long time ago, so I'm trying
You
to
just remember.
I just
liking it.
kind of
You're just
remember liking it. I would like read those stories first. It might have been the art.
Script.
I don't know at the time who the artists were, but I would bet that is probably why, because I probably liked whoever the artist was more at that time than whoever was doing Conan. But I don't remember. To be honest, come on, I'm old. You guys are asking.
Yeah, I know. You got Conan, you got Kull, you got all kind. You got all the great.
it was
barbarians.
yeah. John Buscema and Bill Sienkiewicz. So pretty good.
On Kull
There you
or
go.
on Conan? On both? Were they?
This is. It's okay.
This was in the magazine, so this would have been Conan the Barbarian. I think the magazine, if I'm remembering correctly, which could be completely off.
Yeah, well, there's Chronicles of Kull, and that's like Wally Wood.
No, it would have been after that.
Yeah.
I think. I don't know, dude. I can't.
Yeah.
Who knows?
A lot of Roy
It's not
Thomas.
that-
A lot of Roy
Yeah.
Thomas. A lot of Roy
This is a
Thomas.
losing proposition.
Mhm.
3 old guys trying to remember.
Yeah, this is not going anywhere.
This segment's just 3 guys. I don't know. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, it's the 80s.
Just as long as we don't start talking about Kevin Sorbo.
Oh, well, you know. I could talk
was
about
my-
Sorbo all day.
We gonna talk about Joe Rogan?
You want to talk about Joe Rogan? I can talk
All
about
right, now
Joe.
I'm muting Kevin Sorbo as well. No Sorbo talk on my
Sorbo.
timeline.
Yeah, Joe Rogan. That was yeah. I made someone very angry. I didn't really mean to, but one of our listeners got angry at me on Twitter because of Joe Rogan. But
Because
yeah.
like Joe Rogan or don't like Joe Rogan?
Well, I think because I like Joe Rogan and he doesn't like Joe Rogan, but I didn't want to like argue with him about whether or not Joe Rogan gives a platform to Nazis. I really just didn't feel like getting into that on Twitter on a Friday afternoon.
I understand. I understand.
And so I kind of tried to just be like, yeah, I don't agree, but that's cool, and that he wasn't happy with that. So
Yeah.
at some point, I just said, I'm not here to make you happy, man. I don't know what to do for you.
Oh, you're chasing away the listeners by one.
Yeah, well,
Great.
Every
Individually,
listener is
it's
precious. Everyone is precious.
yeah.
Oh God. I looked up Kevin Sorbo on Twitter, and he's crazy. I might actually.
Yeah. Yes, Tom. Yes, he is.
I didn't know this. Oh no.
Why is he crazy?
It's just like a lot of like right off the bat, some memes that would make me think like, ooh, okay.
Is he a Trump supporter?
Oh yes.
Oh,
Hardcore.
All right, Kevin. Welcome.
Hard.
Now you have now entered the blocked and muted list.
oh, well, you know. What are
I
you
know.
gonna do?
Sorry, guys. What are you gonna do, Kevin Sorbo?
Kevin
He
Sorbo.
also,
another hero of mine destroyed.
Another hero got the banner of his Twitter account is advertising a movie called Let There Be Light, which is available in Walmart right now.
Oh,
It looks like one of those movies about dying and going to heaven
oh boy.
and then coming back or something. Like there's like a
Right.
ghost boy. Looks like I'm just looking at it right now. Riveting audio as I describe the banner on Kevin's store. Everyone should go check it out themselves. Looks like a really incredible movie.
Wow. This
Let there
I'm there. Yeah. So, anybody else reading or watching anything of interest other than their own children and falling asleep within 2 seconds of hitting the pillow?
Oh,
We're
no,
an
no.
exciting fucking bunch, aren't we?
Yeah. Just living dynamically. I did we talk about The Mandalorian more than briefly than saying that we liked it?
I think we
But-
did last time. We talked about it a bit. I'm not
Okay.
exactly sure.
I just want to reiterate that if anything, Jon Favreau should just be famous for coming up with the idea of Baby Yoda. Just those two things, like, yeah, of
It's
course.
I mean,
Duh.
It's
Yeah,
the
we
greatest invention since Yoda.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sounds Yoda. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
It's like they looked at Yoda and was like, why'd you make him so fucking old?
we need a baby.
But that would be a cute fucking baby.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Yeah. I
Yeah,
did
I'm-
watch.
Go ahead.
Now I have Disney Plus. I do sometimes have like a true sad man in his like old age. Just like sometimes I just put on Star Wars, have on in the background.
I've been there. It's like, maybe I'll just
And-
watch Empire Strikes Back.
I was watching the original Star Wars last night while I was doing some work, and it's funny that you mentioned that thing about Star Wars getting dark because my son has been showing interest in Star Wars, and I was like watching it, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Darth Vader like chokes a guy to death in the
And the first
it's like like the first 10 minutes. That'll be interesting to explain.
Yeah, and then 20 minutes later, Aunt Peru and Uncle Owen are charred corpses.
Yeah, it's like charred bones. Yep, that one's also one where I'm like, oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, this was.
I mean, what always struck me about that is how they got really charred all the way down to their bones.
Well, stormtroopers don't fuck around.
And they torched them. I in hindsight, I'm like that. There was some art director went crazy with that.
It is counter to any other stormtrooper actions that you see anywhere else. I mean, they
seem thorough.
Yeah, it seemed extra thorough. So maybe there's a room for a backstory there that maybe it wasn't just stormtroopers. Yeah, maybe there was someone else.
There's a backup story in some extended universe comic.
There's a backup story there.
Wasn't there? You guys have seen that fan-made YouTube thing from a while back, Troops, where it's a takeoff on cops, but it's the stormtroopers.
Yes.
And
it's fucking brilliant.
It
is so funny. Ben
and Uncle Ben or Uncle Owen. Wait, Uncle Owen, right?
Yeah, Uncle Owen's. It's like a domestic abuse call. Yeah, it's and they actually end up killing themselves.
Yeah,
I do something. It was. I have not thought about that in years, and it's brilliant. I'm gonna have to watch that again.
It's really well done.
Yeah, I mean, I will say in the first Star Wars is probably the most competent the stormtroopers are.
I was thinking about this.
That was one of my favorite scenes in Mandalorian is with the two speeder bike troopers and one of them starts trying to shoot the can on the ground and he keeps missing. I thought that was subtly very brilliant.
First Star Wars, it's like, oh yeah, these guys, you saw them fighting the rebel, soldiers on the ship. You see them take out the Jawas. They obviously are thorough enough to burn the corpses of those two people down to their bones. I mean, they do kind of fail very hard in the Death Star at just capturing 4 people running around. You'd think they'd be able to figure that out. But they do show some competence.
Yes, and then less and less.
The other joke in there was Bill Burr when I can't remember what the Mandalorian says, something about him, and he's like, "I'm not a stormtrooper."
Yeah, he's like, he's a shooter. He's like, no, that's not very impressive.
Yeah.
I am thrilled that they left room for Bill Burr to have a recurring role. He's going to be back in season 2. That was without a doubt my favorite episode of the series was the I love heist films
of just that group of ne'er-do-wells running around, being bad criminals. That was absolutely fantastic.
Star Wars heist movie, yes, or series, absolutely.
Yeah, I'd take that. Just like criminals running around the Star Wars universe, just a bunch of low-level scumbag criminals, getting
scum and villainy.
Just get Ed Brubaker to write Star Wars, take Criminal and turn it into Star Wars. That's all you
just need. Adapt the stories in the Star Wars universe. It's not a big deal. Just do it.
Big a deal.
Yeah.
It's not hard.
Yeah.
Jeez, this is
lasers and fucking light swords. Come on.
Mandalorian knew how to use guest actors extremely effectively, especially even as voice over artists.
Yeah, Nick Nolte wasn't even distracting.
Well, a little bit.
No, it was great. Only once you knew it was Nick Nolte.
Mm-hmm.
As I was like, who is that? And I was like, there you go.
Well, my question about that is, so was it just a voiceover job for Nick Nolte? Because there's no way that was him under the makeup, right? That guy was 4 foot tall. So
I don't know how much of that was CGI or if there. I mean, that could have been makeup and just how they shot it. I don't know, but but I was kind of saying this time. It's Nick Nolte's in this. I'm like, oh, it's that guy. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Here's my theory on stormtroopers, though. I have several theories about why stormtroopers are such terrible shots, apparent, all the time. One, I thought that they could always, if you've wanted to explain it, what you could say is that whenever there's a Jedi around, they're sort of using a low force push at all times to just make the stormtroopers kind of lame. You know what I mean? Like you're not able to just but like if you're running around the Death Star, in the first movie you have Obi-Wan, like he's just sort of emitting a low yield force, fuck up field the entire time he's around, and so you can kind of explain it. And then on the opposite side of it, you could say, that they're only, they were only able to do the stuff they were able to do because of, Vader was there to sort of guide them with whatever the dark side of the Force, that kind of thing. So I think you could explain it some ways.
There's some Force magic going on there.
Force magic going on. You could.
I can see that.
Yeah. All right, I'll accept it.
Okay. There we go.
Yeah. Explained. Not a problem.
It's fixed.
It's fixed. I got it.
That's back to Rebels. It is one of the things I really like and respect about the show is that they are able to actually shoot people. So you see, it's like I said, it gets a little dark. So it's like good guys get shot and die in battle and that kind of stuff. So
people get shot all over the place.
Yeah. But it's good. It's good. Check it out. I want to get your opinion on it.
Look forward to my son crying about it.
Yeah.
Duh.
It's a Star Wars property. So
everything's
on Disney Plus. Yes,
Muppets, it's on there.
Are you guys following the
Marvel?
Mm-hmm. Marvel, yeah, everything Marvel.
Do either of you guys follow the Not Disney Plus Twitter feed?
No.
It's pretty hilarious. I would suggest following it. It's pretty funny. They just post like mock posters of Disney property stuff, but very sarcastically, and it's pretty good. I think it's
my kids use it exclusively to watch Toy Story 2. They watch it every weekend.
over and over
and over. They don't want to watch Toy Story 1. They've seen it, don't care. Toy Story 3, a little too dark for them. Toy Story 2.
That's the sweet spot.
It's right, the chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Oh, Dad, exactly. it's the Empire Strikes Back of Toy Story movies.
That's the movie they want to watch.
Yeah, same thing. Like they just watch the same movies over, and they're still. My daughter's 17. She's going to college in the fall. There is a movie from her childhood that she still will watch. It is her absolute favorite movie. It is an animated film, and she will watch it over and over and over again. And it is her favorite movie of all time. And I would give you 100 guesses, and you would not be able to fucking guess what movie it is. And I'm still confused by it. I don't understand why she loves. No one. She's had to have watched this movie more than any other human being.
What is it?
The Fantastic Mr. Fox. Have you ever even seen?
Hilarious, yeah, with George Clooney.
Yeah, George Clooney, and it's
it's fantastic.
What's his name? It's terrific.
Yeah,
director.
that guy.
The director, Andrew. No,
Wes Anderson.
Wes Anderson.
Wes Anderson.
Yeah.
Yep.
She loves that. She will watch that movie anytime, and I'm just like, why do you like this movie so much? I don't get it. It's the weirdest selection of a favorite film.
What does she say?
She doesn't know. She just loves it. There's nothing. I don't know. I don't know if she knows why she loves it so much. I can't tell you. I don't know why she loves it. She just does.
Yeah.
Absolutely loves that movie. It's the weirdest. Yeah. She's a weirdo.
Well, yeah. That doesn't fall far from the tree, right?
Well, I do like White Men Can't Jump. That's one of my
favorite. Yeah, when we mentioned Demolition Man earlier, I wanted to jump and say, has anyone watched Demolition Man recently?
Oh, yeah. Well,
that movie,
recently.
Because you should. That movie's insane.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's insanely prophetic. I think it's about the future pretty well.
It's like, oh shit, yeah.
I always get Demolition Man and Judge Dredd mixed up a little bit.
I could see
it's the
Stallone factor.
Yeah.
And he's kind of wearing the same thing almost.
Yeah, Demolition Man has Wesley Snipes, right?
This is true. Yes. And Judge Dredd has Armand Assante.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Yeah. Which also we talked about Dolomite Is My Name. Wesley Snipes was really good in that.
Yeah. He was terrific.
Yeah. Did that get any nominations?
I believe
I know you're on top. Okay, good.
I think Wesley Snipes may have gotten a nomination for best supporting. I don't know if Eddie.
I'm looking it up. I'm looking it up right now, guys.
Go look it up. Yeah,
that's if not my favorite movie of last year, it was the one that surprised me and probably entertained me the most. I thought that movie was awesome. And it's funny I went to a record store in the city or in the town where I work, and they've re-released a lot of the Rudy Ray Moore records on vinyl now.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know if I need to play that in the home office during the day.
No.
No nominations.
There are no nominations.
No?
No, zero nominations?
1917 got everything.
Yeah, have you seen it yet?
I have.
Yeah, good? Like it?
I'm so sorry.
What? I thought it was phenomenal.
Okay.
Until like the last 5 minutes, kind of got cornball and didn't ruin the film for me in any way, but I just kind of wish the last 5 minutes didn't exist.
Didn't stick the landing.
Yeah, just a little bit. But the rest of it is fantastic. It's really interesting how it was shot more than anything. I mean, it's the story itself is nothing spectacular. I mean, it's a decent enough war story, but it's more how the film is shot is really the amazing part of it.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Is the editing, the cinematography, editing.
So they spend the last 5 minutes setting up World War II. Oh, great! A franchise.
No, nothing that bad. Nothing that bad. No, it was really just like a couple of little
1938.
1930. But really cool. Really, I mean, I've never seen a film shot quite like it. It's almost. I mean, it looks like one extended take. The entire thing. I mean, obviously, if you pay attention, you can see where
the
edits are. But it's really unbelievably well done, and it's interesting because, and I didn't know this beforehand, but I was talking to a friend of mine about it, and I'm like, he really loved it, and he was telling me about it. So after I watched it, I was talking with him, and I was like, yeah, it was interesting. I felt like I was watching a play in some ways. Like it felt very much like a stage play with like a animated background. Like if you were able to take a set and animate the background, but the actors were on, were always on the set. And interestingly enough, I guess that's how Sam Mendes, the director, talked to the actors about. He wanted them to treat the frame as a stage, and that's how he wanted them to work it. And I was like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense because that's what it looked like. But it also gave me a feeling of like one of my favorite movies ever is Rear Window by Alfred Hitchcock, because the entire film almost takes place in one setting. Where this doesn't take place in one setting, but it's almost like one shot. Yeah, the entire thing is one shot, so it's pretty interesting.
Well, the thing about the feeling that it's projected behind him is sort of interesting because tying it back to The Mandalorian, they've been using all kinds of new filming techniques with The Mandalorian where a lot of the settings, the backgrounds aren't green screen. They're digital projections that are filmed. So the actor... Because there's this big article where Werner Herzog was talking about filming the movie, and he said that it was kind of incredible to be there aren't any green screens. You feel like you are standing there because
they're they used to take a set, say you were in an apartment at night in New York City, and they would wrap the outside of the windows with a painting or a picture of the skyline. So it's that same sort of thing, but they're projecting.
But digital projection.
Like they have these extremely high quality digital projections that create the environment around you, right?
That's cool.
Like
So it's like almost like a holodeck.
yeah, like it's like all the stuff that they're trying out with the Mandalorian.
I want to get one of those for my house, make my house look better.
but like there's lots that I'll have to dig up the link to that where he was sort of talking about like you did feel like you were on an alien world because the fidelity of it was so high, right? Like that you were like, oh, like I am standing in this set, like I am on this planet.
So
like,
was it just like the backgrounds or the actual like floor you're standing on and things you're interacting
I think it's
with?
a mix of stuff. Like the backgrounds are digital projections a lot. Like if they're on like
Tatooine or whatever.
Yeah. Like, and I think that they mixed in practical objects like close to them.
Right.
And I'm sure there is some green screen just like out of production reality.
Yeah.
Right.
But I know that they were using a lot of those. Like that's like this thing that they wanted to start trying. Was
I'm sure
like
the actors probably like that more because I know you listen to actors talk about working with green screens and it's kind of such an impersonal sort of thing. It's a little difficult sometimes to act to a tennis ball or pretend that there's this world around you that's not. It's just green. Yeah. That's cool. I'm gonna have to look into that. I did remember hearing something about it. And I think I saw just like an article, but I didn't actually read it. I just saw like the picture.
Yeah.
I didn't quite understand it until you explained it. That's pretty cool.
Or it's like very, like you walk out and you're like, oh my god, like this looks like I'm standing in this place. That's the level of like quality to it, which obviously, I mean, would make a huge difference rather than just. Like when you watch those like making of Star Wars and someone's literally standing in a totally green environment talking to like a tennis ball on a stick.
Right.
There's like literally nothing there that's real. Like think of what a huge difference that would be to at least like feel like you are in the place, like instead of just in this giant green space.
Well, to
talking.
bring things back to Joe Rogan.
Here we go.
Yeah,
because all things come back to Joe Rogan.
When Robert Downey Jr. was on there recently, he was talking about the green screen a little bit. He touched on it just a little bit, and he was talking about, kind of the difficulties of it and why he was kind of happy to maybe do something other than Iron Man or the Avengers because it's like you
Yeah.
You just spend so much time talking to a tennis ball, and it's a little, weird. I guess I would imagine, to go through that as someone that's spent most of their life trying to, evoke emotion with other people, conversations. I would imagine that's kind of difficult, but that's kind of cool. I'm gonna have to look into that. What did you think of Tom? I mean, I know you're a huge Werner Herzog fan.
Werner Herzog.
I mean, what did you think when you first heard he was going to be in this show, and what did you think after watching it with him? And
my first thought was they have micro-targeted me solely by combining all of my interests into one thing. But that goes into what I was saying, that I think that they did such a good job with actors, like putting them in roles that like. It seemed like they were all into it, even like Werner Herzog, who accordingly has never seen a Star Wars.
Right.
Like he has never seen a Star Wars, and like I thought it was interesting to see a Star Wars movie or a TV show where like the characters were interesting. Interesting people.
Yes.
Right? Like Werner Herzog's character is interesting because he's not just saying exposition to you of like what's happening, or like
even the robots were more interesting
because you don't have to. They're not. The thing I liked about the Mandalorian so much was that they did such a great job of when to do exposition and when not to. Mm-hmm. Whereas when Star Wars is really bad is when it's just like someone just telling you what's happening directly to you. You know, where it's like you're an idiot, and now someone, because they have to, because the whatever's happening is so like we don't have enough time, so I literally have to say to you right now what's happening, so we can get to the next thing, right?
Yeah, we gotta move this plot along, kids.
We gotta move this plot along. So I'm just gonna tell you what's happening. But what was cool about the show is sort of seeing, like, you know, Bill Burr's character or any of those like criminal characters where like we don't know everything about them, right? Or like we don't know like every like little detail about them, and their characters are kind of interesting and they're played by interesting people, and it's just like, oh, like,
well, and also it was you know, especially with actors like Bill Burr, who is not a Star Wars nerd, and he's not just some sort of like fill-in or you know, he's just being Bill Burr. You know what I mean? Like, he's just Bill Burr. He's just a human. He's just a real person. Now he's just happens to be in this costume and in this setting and in this world, but he's just still being kind of him. Yeah. Same with
Werner Herzog. He's just being Werner Herzog.
Exactly. Yes. But it completely works because you're so used to seeing the, you know, the sort of snotty, you know, tight-lipped British soldier guy playing another imperial bad dude, and
it's Peter Cummings.
I've seen this 100 times already. I've seen, you know, it's like, or the fresh-faced, you know, sort of naive hero, whatever, you know, that kind of thing. And instead of just like, oh, these are actual people with, you know, motivations of their own, and sort of consequences to their actions, and things that they want and things in their way. It's not that hard. Like, it's basic storytelling. Yeah. You know, it's like, you know, put two people in a room and they both want something different. You know, that's like the most basic way to write a scene. And that's kind of what every scene you see. You have the Mandalorian and you have someone else, and they both want something diametrically opposed to one another, and there's your conflict. That's, you know what I mean? But it's like we don't see that in so much Star Wars because it's wrapped in this grandiose thing where a lot of times that simple element of just like, this person wants this person wants something else, and who's going to win in this scene?
Yeah,
and that
it's not beholden to some larger mythos that it's trying to like fulfill.
That's a perfect word, fulfill.
I'm like we have to end this with this thing,
legacy.
You know, like
it's not trying to fulfill some legacy, it's just telling a story.
It's just like its own story where nothing in that story is crazy. Like
right.
The bounty hunter, it turns out to be sympathetic towards the lost child because of his own past. Like, it's not groundbreaking, but they just did it well, so you care. You know, like the android, the assassin robot gets reprogrammed to protect, you know, and it sacrifices itself. You know, there's nothing like insane about that. It's like, oh yeah, that was the story that you would tell. But they tell it, they did such a good job of telling it in a way that's like, oh yes, this is what I liked about Star Wars. Because like, right, the first Star Wars, there's nothing crazy in that. Like,
right, it's a kid that doesn't want to be on the farm anymore, and it's a very relatable thing. Like, he wants to get off the farm and away from his parents and live an exciting life, and then he gets it, and it's not exactly what he thinks it's going to be, and then, you know what I mean? Like, it's not insane. It just people forget.
Just done well in an interesting way.
Yeah.
Not to rag too hard on the new Star Wars movies, but
no. The only thing about the Mandalorian that whenever he would go into the sort of Mandalorian cave place, and that woman Mandalorian,
the armorer.
It was just like the weird sort of Rocky IV montages in those scenes.
of the taking the medal and
it was just like, this is really intricate. This is a really like weirdly devoted scene to this moment every time that he goes in there.
And that's kind of, you know, back to, you know, Star Wars Rebels and Clone Wars, is the Mandalorian armor is kind of a big deal. So it's it's important to those characters. It's the armor is unique to them.
Yeah, I knew that.
But I know,
you know what I mean? Like they already said that.
Weird.
You don't have to. I don't think you have to like over. But this brings up another question. Somebody, I don't remember who it was, but somebody I heard talking about this. And I was like, so is Boba Fett a Mandalorian, or does he just steal some Mandalorian's armor? And is he using what do they call it when you steal valor? Stolen valor?
Oh, stolen valor.
Is Boba Fett?
Is that why he sucks so hard?
Nice. I would assume he's he's a Mandalorian. Yeah.
Yeah, Mandalorian's a creed, not a race.
This is true.
As he said, you don't have to.
Yes, I would say he is from Mandalore.
But he's pretty inept.
He looks like a stormtrooper.
I'll be honest. He's kind of shitty at his job in comparison to the other Mandalorians that we saw.
He didn't do a whole lot, to be honest. I mean, he looked cool.
He looked cool.
Right.
You look cool.
He did look cool.
Yeah. And they made an entire story and planet based on
him.
Boba Fett looking cool.
When I was watching the original Star Wars, of course, like it's got all the shit that Lucas has added over the years, and there's that scene where like the weird CGI Boba Fett, Jabba the Hutt is talking to Han Solo outside the Millennium Falcon, that was never in the original one.
Yeah.
And then every time I see it, I'm just like, oh God, why is this in here?
Yeah.
Yes.
There's like a moment where Boba Fett's just standing there and like the camera just lingers on him. Like, it's just like, cool. Yes, Boba Fett's now in this movie.
From the internets, Boba Fett himself is not technically a Mandalorian in Star Wars lore, being instead a clone of a Mandalorian, Jango Fett, and raised not on Mandalore but on a planet called Kamino.
So he's not a Mandalorian.
He is not a Mandalorian. He is a clone. He is a clone of Mandalorian.
Well, when you make a copy of something, it's never quite as good as the original. Yeah. He's a copy.
Yeah.
I forgot all about that. It's true. We saw all that.
Yeah. Now I remember the movie. There was a whole movie about that, wasn't there?
It's like,
pretty much.
God, what is this? What's happening?
We needed blue and silver Boba Fett.
Yeah. Yeah, he was the one clone that Jango got to raise, right?
And to think that he just dies because somebody accidentally hits his jetpack
into the Sarlacc pit.
The Sarlacc pit. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I think the comics wrote him out of that death scene that he actually got out.
Well, Patton Oswalt wrote him back in. I think he has that whole tirade that he went on in 30 Rock, or not 30 Rock, Parks and Rec.
Oh, Parks and Rec.
Yeah. He has a whole.
That comes back.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that, like that bounty hunter scene in Empire Strikes Back. Like that one like 45-second scene. Yeah, that like spawned 1,000 spin-off.
Yeah. It's like IG-88's my favorite character. I'm just like, he stood there for like 5 seconds.
Well, that was what was cool about The Mandalorian, though, is that you finally got to see him do something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me, I'm a Bosk man.
You're a Bosk fan. I knew that. Was it Dungar? Is that another one of the guys?
Oh man, what a bunch of sad nerds we are.
Oh yeah. And it wasn't because of the movie. I mean, that was part of it, but it was the sweet action figures.
Of course,
so, yeah.
Bosk had that fucking long blaster that never quite fit in his hand right.
Yes. Gigantic gun. Yeah, but IG-88 was a cool figure. Great character design. So, which is, I guess, the core of what we're getting at. It's like there would be no Mandalorian if the Boba Fett character design wasn't so good.
Well, isn't that just Star Wars in a nutshell? Like, really, it just looks really fucking cool, and it was like nothing we had ever seen, and that was why it was, I mean, it was a cool story, but really, we were kids, and it looked fucking awesome, and that was all we really needed, and that we didn't have to dissect it and turn it into a billion conversations about the same horse shit. We just was like, that's cool. I want to go see it again.
That's cool. Oh yeah, you know, watch
more Bosk.
I want more Bosk, God damn it.
You should watch Rebels because there is not Bosk, but a character that's from obviously the same planet.
Trandoshan.
Mm-hmm.
Trandashanian. Is that? I don't know.
What is that? Where the
he's a
from?
Trandoshan, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. He's 6'8". I'm just looking it up on Wikipedia. I just happen to.
Of course. Yeah. But no, I'm liking going back and watching the animated stuff. And there's I think another season of Clone Wars coming out here in a couple months. So I think that's going to keep me with my Disney Plus subscription, and then waiting for Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Are you bad pun, nonplussed about the new Marvel stuff?
No, I'm sure I'll watch it. I don't know. I think I've already sort of made up my mind that I got everything I need at this point from either Star Wars
Marvel
Cinematic Universe. I mean, I got 10 years of really cool, all these characters that I loved coming to life. They were done better than I imagined they could have been done. It all culminated in 2 really fantastic films, I think, and I don't need it to go on anymore. For me.
You're good.
I'm good. Yep. Like, I don't, this whole second wave, I'm sort of resigning
Fourth
myself.
wave.
Well, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean, though.
Wave 4.
Yeah. But, like, I'm sort of, I'm resigning myself to the fact that I probably won't.
Yeah. You're okay moving on to something else.
Yeah, well, it's for a younger generation, I hope.
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
For sure.
It's not for my old, crusty, crotchety, curmudgeon-y, God, that's not my Star Wars.
I'm just looking at this picture of those bounty hunters from Empire Strikes Back, and I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah. These guys look cool as hell.
Fucking badass, dude.
Yeah, IG-88 is my favorite character.
Sweet.
See?
He doesn't do a damn thing.
It's who was the character creator for all those? I wonder. I don't know. I should know that, I would think, but I don't.
There's been a documentary about it. All right, guys. Well, we're gonna maybe come back in a couple weeks and talk Little Bird and other stuff.
I gotta finish reading it. I haven't finished.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
That's why I texted you this morning. I'm like, are we going to talk about that today? Because I got to read it if we're going to talk about it.
I got to get on the couch. No, we'll talk about it in a couple weeks. I may even jump into some Jodorowsky comics so I can draw some comparisons. Because it reminded me of Techno Priest for some reason. So I'm going to have to go back and read that.
I have a hard time with those.
With the Jodorowsky stuff?
Yeah.
Fucking kooky. They're weird.
Yeah, they look awesome, obviously. But, yeah, I don't know. I have a hard time getting through them. I have a hard time reading, I think. At this point in my life, I just don't want to read anything.
I understand. Yeah, it's like Dungeons and Dragons.
Can you just make it into a movie I can just
please.
watch? Can you give me something passive?
Well, at this point, I mean, Netflix is basically making everything into a TV show. So I'm waiting. I mean, they just came out with the October Faction as a TV show. That was a comic book. It's like
was it? Okay.
Yeah, it was a comic, and it's
when's the Mark Miller stuff gonna start hitting? Because he signed a big deal with Netflix, right?
Well, they basically bought his comics company.
Yeah.
So I would think at some point
they'll start getting into production.
I would think. I don't know. I don't really know. Yeah.
Good. I hope so. Because I like the Mark Miller stuff.
I'd like to see Jupiter's Planet. I would think that would be.
I think that's on the list.
I would think. I mean, there were with the success of like The Boys at Amazon, I would think that would be a hot property because it's sort of in that same vein. Kind of shitty superheroes.
Yes.
Well, I mean, like shitty
superheroes.
Shitty people that are superheroes.
Shitty people with superpowers. All right. Well, cool. I'm ready to wrap up this little puppy. Got a big week ahead of me?
Yeah.
You guys? Yeah. Busy stuff.
I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. I'm gonna. No, nothing. I got nothing.
All right, good. All right.
Super.
I'm gonna work. I'm gonna raise my children. I'm gonna read some meat and potato comic books, some Jack Kirby, 2 pages at a time.
I'm gonna fight with people on Twitter more.
Yeah,
Nope.
I'm gonna mute people. I'm gonna mute topics,
including Joe Rogan, already muted.
He's already muted.
He's on the list.
Done. All right, well, cool. We'll get back together here in a couple weeks, and I think it is Sal's pick for a new book.
Oh, good God!
Oh,
yeah. So come prepared, sir.
It's gonna be Hulk.
I'm prepared.
Hulk.
Immortal Hulk.
Immortal Hulk Volume 2.
Book. It's
Volume 2.
Sal's pick until something beats it.
Watchmen. That's the only comic book worth reading anymore.
Yeah.
It's just always Watchmen. That's all we're gonna read. No, I don't.
Well, this time I've been reading Greg Rucka books again, and I was just like, yeah, I can't do a Greg Rucka book because you guys will never let me live it down. Have you watched? Oh goddamn! The Portland detective.
Portland detective.
Stumptown.
Stumptown. Have you watched Stumptown?
I didn't know it was a show.
Yeah, it's on ABC.
Oh no, I have not.
Yeah, it's.
I don't watch network. Come on.
Yeah, it's actually network TV. It's not bad. I've watched probably 4 or 5 episodes, and it's okay.
Did anyone watch Picard on CBS?
I have not yet. I don't have CBS access.
Oh, I do. I did. It was good. It was. I mean, if you're a Next Generation fan, it was. It was not what I expected it to be, but it was very good. Yeah, it was. I think and the upcoming. They give you a little hint, to the season, and it looks really good. Like they're gonna obviously bring in some other characters from Next Generation.
Yeah, they don't drop the whole season at once, right?
No, unfortunately, they do not. They still stuck in the model of week to week.
They want to keep those subscription dollars coming in.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need it all at once.
Yeah, I really looked forward to Fridays with Mandalorian. It would be like, oh, it's Friday. I can watch an episode of The Mandalorian.
Well, speaking of weekly, The Outsider on HBO. That's really interesting. I didn't read the Stephen King book. It's based on a Stephen King book, but it's a pretty it's interesting. But once again, it's like. It's one kind of story, and then all of a sudden Stephen King throws in something really fucking weird, and and it's like
son of a bitch,
son of a goddamn King, damn you!
Done it again.
But yeah, I enjoyed the first 2 episodes of it. It was pretty good, and it's directed by Jason Bateman, who stars in it as well.
Yeah, I like Jason Bateman.
Yeah, Teen Wolf 2. Teen Wolf 2.
So, yes.
Oh, wow.
His finest work, Teen Wolf 2.
All right. Well, you guys, you have a good couple weeks, and we'll get back together and chit-chat again soon. So, yeah. Want to sign it off?
All right.
All right. We'll be back in another couple weeks. Talk about Little Bird. Sal will have his new book. And in the meantime...
In between time...
We'll be everywhere in
and around
comics. Star Wars.
Yeah, more Star Wars talk. Man, we should just talk
Mandalore.
about the Mandalorian every week.
Every week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
The Mandalorian update.
I talk about what I want to talk about.
Fucking A. You're
There you
American, goddammit. Meat and potatoes.
Meat and potatoes comics.
Potatoes.
Yep.
Simple.
Those are hilarious.
I want it with an event. I want stretched out over 6 issues.
We didn't talk about Crisis on the CW. I'm sure you guys aren't watching.
I have not been watching it. I need to catch. I watched like the first episode. I've not been watching hardly any of the Arrowverse stuff.
I haven't either, but my son wanted to watch the whole Crisis thing, so we sat and watched that. And it was
enjoy it. Good.
No, not really.
No.
Nah, it's terrible. Those shows are awful. I mean, they're just.
I mean, DC Legends is very self-aware of that.
I like Legends,
and that's why I like it because it's self-aware that it's not great, right?
Yeah, and it's funny and it's just like wacky and it goes anywhere. I liked Legends. I liked the Flash, like for 2 or 3 seasons when it was just fun.
And then
yeah.
But all those shows tend to be like so, melodramatic at some point, and
they take themselves a little too seriously.
Yeah, it's just like just have fun with them. I mean, that's the CW way. Like I get it; they're trying to get teenagers to watch their shows, and it's all about sort of
teenage soap opera.
Yeah, I get that, but with the superhero stuff, I'm just like, ugh. But there was a cool moment where Marv Wolfman was a guest on the show, so that was
that's cool.
Yeah, there was a little cameo.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a little fun moment, so that was neat. But yeah, I don't know. They just even the Crisis thing was like this long, drawn out sort of thing that just never really
never got there.
Yeah, just
never got there.
But yeah,
it's like
All right, so don't waste the 15 hours watching it. Is what you're saying?
Oh.
I mean, for me, the like I said, the Marv Wolfman scene was one of the best. But I mean, there was a couple of if you really are into Easter egg moments where there's crossovers between the different characters in the different DC properties, then maybe it's worth watching. But that's really the best of it as far as the story and the other thing is most of the actors in that show are fucking awful. The kid who plays the Flash is about the best. He's actually believable as a human, as a person. Yeah. And the rest of them are just terrible.
He has 3 emotions.
Yeah.
Which is about 2 more than
everyone else. Yeah. I like him, but
the Flash was better the first couple. I mean, the thing about the Flash when it first started, it was kind of they're really going to have Gorilla Grodd.
Yeah. They're
going to actually have Gorilla City. It's a thing that exists. Oh, and
it was cool.
Yeah, and Earth 2 exists. It had that sort of we're just going to do all this stuff. And then it kind of got bogged down in melodrama.
Yeah.
Kind of lost a little bit of its hell yeah, we're going to do this crazy story.
Well, and that was DC Legends. That was fun because it was just they didn't fall into that. You know what I mean? They were just wacky and the show was silly and they could go anywhere in time and anything could happen. And it was this is all it needs to be. It doesn't need to be more than that. Just have fun with it. You have people in costumes running around punching each other. It doesn't have to be much more than that really to be enjoyable, but they don't seem to, I don't know. There seems to be this deep need to have 12 other characters on the show, and every episode is some sort of, superficial emotional pull between other characters, not even the main characters, but I don't know. And the Supergirl one, I can't even, that show's so terrible. I don't know how anybody watches that fucking show. But it is what
Which one? Which one?
Superwoman, Supergirl.
Oh, Supergirl. Yeah.
I really like the girl, the woman that plays Supergirl, but the show is just
not good. Yeah.
God.
There's too many episodes in every season of these shows.
Well, that's probably part of it too.
They need to they're still on the old model of there's 23 episodes. That's a lot.
Yeah,
man.
It's a lot to write, right?
It's a lot to write. And it's just if it was shorter and tighter.
Yeah. Thank you, BBC, for inventing the 10 episode season, which is so much better. All right, I gotta go, guys. I gotta get up early.
All right, later.
Good one. Ursa shit. So.
Okay.
All right. I will talk to you guys in a couple weeks. Cool.
Okay.
Peace. All right.
Peace.
Sounds good. All right. Bye, guys.